So Woody recorded this video. Is Clash Royale dying? We're gonna watch it together and I'm gonna give you my opinion on his thoughts, and I'd love to have a discussion in the chat with your ideas how to prevent the game from dying, because we all love the game. I don't really believe it's dying. I think it just needs some refreshments. Let's watch this one together.
As someone who really enjoys playing this game, it pains me to admit that Clash Royale is not in a great place right now. In this video, I will be analyzing some of the internal and external problems that have led to Clash Royale's downfall in the past year. If we take a look at Clash Royale's popularity on Google Trends, suddenly it becomes quite obvious. Clash Royale's popularity peaked almost a year ago in June of 2017. And since then, it's pretty much been on a steady decline. So what happened in June of 2017 that suddenly changed the trajectory of the game? The first event that happened in June of 2017 was that 2v2 was introduced into the game as a permanent game mode. So let us examine some of the negative effects that 2v2 has had on the game.
Is it really 2v2, or was it just the release that came with 2v2?
The most immediate effect of 2v2 was of course on ladder.
I mean, it's true. Since then, I mainly played 2v2 after that and not ladder anymore, because 2v2 was an easy way to get gold and it was risk-free, because like risk-free ladder is missing. Comparing to Fortnite, you can play and lose and play and lose, just re-queue. It's totally risk-free. You're never gonna lose trophies, and I think that's also part of the popularity. People just don't like to lose in general. And if you have a great risk of losing on broken ladder, you're probably not gonna play it and switch to 2v2 instead.
Before 2v2 was released, Guanek, an Italian player, finished the season at #1 in the world with a record 6,788 trophies. The season after 2v2 was released, however, not a single player in the top 200 broke into Ultimate Champion at 6,400 trophies. In fact, to this day, almost exactly a year later, Guanek's record remains the highest that anyone has ever finished on ladder at the end of the season.
That's amazing.
The major flaw in the system is that it requires a perfect balance between the trophies that are created and the trophies that are lost. When 2v2 was released, this balance was disturbed as many casual players in the lower trophy ranges started playing 2v2 instead of playing ladder. This meant that fewer trophies were being generated overall, making it more difficult for players above 4,000 trophies to push on ladder.
I think the problem with 2v2 is that less players are in the ladder system, especially the lower level players are not in ladder anymore, making it really hard to gain trophies on ladder. And like the economy there is not working anymore.
Overleveling was a problem that already existed in the game before 2v2 was released.
And overleveling, of course, ruined ladder. And so pushing new players to 2v2 because of overleveled cards like the E-barb thing and stuff. And at the same time having less trophies in there, making it even harder to push on ladder, because you get to battle against the high-level players only, and that makes ladder really hard. So it's like a deadly loop you're trapped in here on ladder.
Because 2v2 gives the same rewards as ladder, as a result, many players simply sit at 4,000 trophies for the entire season while still being able to progress at the same rate as other players on ladder.
I'm one of them, sitting at 4,000 trophies for almost a year. What I think is missing here, it's a great analysis, but I think ladder was already broken before. A lot of people didn't like to play ladder, like I basically, even before 2v2 was introduced, I stopped playing ladder. I pushed to 4K and just remained there, because it was so stressful to play ladder. I think 2v2 increased the effect, but it's not the root cause. The root cause is ladder is broken. And 2v2 was actually a try to fix that. And yeah, it may have impacted it in the wrong direction.
Finally, the biggest problem that I have with 2v2, and the reason why I never enjoyed playing it in the first place, is because objectively it's a game mode that requires very little skill to play. There's a reason why most Clash Royale users don't make any 2v2 content, and that's because most of the players who play 2v2 are not the type of players that would be interested in watching strategy videos. As a competitive player, I firmly believe that challenges and to some extent even ladder are both game modes that can help you improve at the game, but the same thing cannot be said for 2v2. This teaches players that it's acceptable to quit matches because there are simply no repercussions.
Yeah, that's horrible.
The thing that frustrates me the most about this is when this type of toxic mentality spreads to other game modes such as Clan Wars.
Horrible. If a team
I've personally seen players in my clan who will lose a tower early on in the match and simply just quit their game on battle day, which is completely unacceptable. 2v2 has quite literally become a cancer and has created what is called a positive feedback. The more players that play 2v2, the worse ladder will become. Personally, I think that 2v2 should be completely removed from the game, or at least there should not be any rewards.
Oh please, don't remove it!
There is no risk involved.
Fix ladder instead.
However, this problem has been going on for too long,
ladder
and
more
I don't see
rewarding
this as
than
a
2v2.
viable solution.
Just fix ladder and make 2v2 less rewarding than ladder. That's the fix to this. But don't remove 2v2, please. Noobs like me enjoy 2v2.
Quit the game if this were to happen. The second event that happened in June of 2017 was that Tencent, a Chinese media company and the biggest gaming company in the world, acquired a majority stake in Supercell for a reported $8.6 billion. At the time, Supercell stated that we have agreed with Tencent that Supercell will continue to be operationally independent. While this may very well be the case, I think it's evident that there's definitely been a change in the general attitude and culture of Supercell after Tencent's acquisition.
I never noticed.
The first problem that this has created is a lack of creativity in the Clash Royale team. When Clash Royale first came out in 2016, everyone was completely blown away by how amazing this game was, because it was the first game of its kind ever available on the market. Of course, there were many bugs and glitches as well as many other issues such as card balancing, but this was...
I think this is even more visible in Brawl Stars. How is it possible that after a year Brawl Stars is not yet released? I say just drop it out, let people play and then improve the game quickly when there are flaws or mistakes. For me, I can't really understand how you do not go public with a game for more than a year. I mean, there maybe the mentality change is visible. I don't remember exactly, but I think Clash Royale went public within 3 or 6 months after it was released. Would it? Maybe? I have to give you that one there. The mentality has changed. They're more careful, and I'm saying don't be so careful. Just take chances, try something, push out content. I mean, that's what Fortnite literally is doing too. They're just pushing out content. They're trying things, and sometimes they push something that is OP and everybody knows it's obvious, and they still enjoy it because everybody knows it's OP, nobody's denying it, and then they just remove it or fix it. So they learn on the way. Since there is so much emotion involved in Clash Royale, maybe the team and maybe the players forget that it's just a game and everybody just wants to have fun. I think that they take it too serious. I don't know if that has to do with the takeover by Tencent or not. I mean, that's a speculation, but it's definitely the game is taken very seriously, and that made them act very careful. And I feel like there should be a little more courage to just try things. It's a game, after all, it's a game. And even, it's like in soccer. If there is a wrong penalty given, at least it gives discussion, it gives hype in the game. It's not ruining the game, it makes it even more interesting. That's my take on this. Just push it forward, try things. Have courage.
The Clash Royale team worked really hard, and it seemed like every other week we would receive some kind of new feature or update in the game. As a result, players always had something to look forward to, and this created a lot of hype surrounding the game. I remember when we would get 4 new cards on the same day, and I would wake up really early just to try out the new cards. In hindsight, this rate of development was completely unsustainable in the long run, and eventually Supercell would be forced to slow down the release of new cards and updates. Clash Royale team is clearly running out of ideas, which is really concerning to me because I know that they're capable of so much more based on what we...
I don't think they run out of ideas. I think they are overly careful. They are so afraid to ruin the balance, and then they get hit by everyone. I mean, it's happened. The community sometimes is kind of really toxic about every little detail about the game, because it is a game that relies a lot on details. But I mean, you learn by mistakes, and one big mistake is not to learn and not to try things, and I think that's the trap they're kind of in at the moment. But I'm very optimistic that they get out of that.
Clash Royale has such an amazing community of players who are constantly coming up with new ideas and features. Many of these new features would significantly improve the quality of the game, especially for free-to-play players who make up the majority of the player base. However, other than a few very small quality of life changes such as the permanent mute feature, most of these suggestions have not actually made it into the game.
It's basically the same thing. Over carefulness and not trying new things. I mean, just try the stuff. There's so many ideas out there. Just try the stuff. At least that keeps the game alive. That keeps the discussion alive. That's my opinion. I'm very curious for your opinions in the comments on this.
I don't know if you guys have noticed, but the last update was the first time in Clash Royale history that Supercell did not reveal a sneak peek before the update was released.
Yeah,
the official reason for this was because they did not want to overhype the update after the disaster that was touched down.
The game needs the hype to live.
This just goes to show that even Supercell themselves did not have any faith in the Clan Wars update, so why should us the players have any faith in Supercell? In fact, last October he even shut down the official Clash Royale forums, which was a great place for players to discuss ideas and strategy.
My perception why the forum was shut down is that it was shut down because Reddit was blowing up, and all the Clash Royale discussions all of a sudden took place on Reddit, not in the forums. The player for fun does not really care about Reddit, does not even know the YouTubers or the streamers, and it's probably, I don't know, I don't have any statistics, but probably the biggest part of players of the game don't even know about streamers, YouTubers, forums, discussions. This is all us that are really interested into more details of the game, that are part of this, like 10 or 20% of the community that are interested about everything.
Looking back at the Clan Wars update, I think it's pretty evident at this point that it was still an unfinished product, which is completely unacceptable considering that the Clash Royale team had almost 6 months to work on the update, and the release date was even pushed back multiple times. It's obvious that very little thought was put into some of the elements such as clan management and matchmaking.
Woody, I love you! My opinion though is that Clan Wars was really well thought, and it was a big surprise how well it was designed and how well it played. Of course it's faulty, but I mean that comes down to me saying just drop content and let us try the content and then learn on the way, instead of keeping it back, holding back, and having that very slow cycle. I mean, half a year in a mobile game. It's crazy for a release. A lot of the young players will actually forget about the game in 6 months. So
we have a small team. An excuse that we have heard time and time again from the Clash Royale team.
Why isn't the team bigger?
Supercell currently has a total of 190 employees, which is a ridiculously small number considering the size of their company. Why not make the team bigger? This means that there are probably only around 30 developers on the Clash Royale team working on a game that has millions of players. Recently, they even took away the gems from the arena offers, which significantly decreased their value. At this rate, it will literally take more than 10 years to max out your account without spending any money on the game, which is a ridiculous amount of time, especially for a mobile game, and that is not taking into consideration any new cards that are released in the future. It is this pay-to-win model of Clash Royale that has turned many players away from the game.
Pay to win is really a big problem in the game. And I think that has to be addressed with gold being more available and stuff. Because yeah, the casual player will quit, of course, if it's all paid to win. They will enjoy it at the start when they progress really fast. But then when they can only progress by buying stuff, most of them will actually quit, the casual players.
As a free-to-play player, we might spend months upgrading a single deck, only to see it get nerfed in the next balance change.
Something that bugs me. Whenever I master a deck, it gets balanced and it doesn't work anymore. And if you're not constantly playing and rather casually playing, like I consider myself actually a casual player, although I did upgrade and did buy gems and stuff, but I don't play it that often. You know it, most of the time I'm casting matches and not really having so much time to play the game anymore. And it really bugs me if the deck I got used to gets nerfed or buffed. Buffed is okay, by the way, but if it gets nerfed, and then I have to find new meta and...
It's evident that Clash Royale is no longer the game that it was a year ago. Clash Royale's own success has ultimately led to its downfall because success breeds complacency and complacency breeds failure. Supercell has become too comfortable with their success that they no longer have the drive and motivation to continue improving the game.
I don't think they are. A friendly disagreement here. I think it was that way maybe 2 or 3 months ago, but since Fortnite grew really big and a lot of the Clash Royale viewers and community switched to Fortnite, and also streamers and casters switched to Fortnite, I think the team became really aware that there is some changes needed, and I think they're getting back on track now. I hope they're getting back on track now because I love the game and I want the game to live. So I hope they're getting back on track.
Again, I apologize for the negativity in this video.
It's not negativity, it's just stating your points of view, and I'm stating my points of view here. In some points I agree. Some is really interesting data that you discovered there, and in some points I disagree, but it's totally okay. Great video by Woody there, and I love to watch that video. If you want to watch the full video, a link will be in the video description. Check it out if you want to see the full version of that very interesting view on Clash Royale by Woody.
On that note, that's going to wrap it up for today's video.
Really great video by Woody. I hope you enjoyed my reaction and take on, or my opinion on that video. For more Clash Royale, pro teams, pro players, great decks, the esports in Clash Royale, this channel here is for you. Start now by subscribing and clicking the bell for notifications so you don't miss anything, and I'll see you in the next video.